Hey guys, this is Karis, and it's that time of year where I peek my head out of booktube hibernation to make another video. A week today, as of filming this, is the beginning of the Reading Rush 2020. Which, if you don't know, is a readathon that happens online every year. Even though I don't really make booktube videos anymore, I always find it really fun getting involved with the Reading Rush, and just like making a TBR video and then maybe another video at the end talking about what I read. It's just a lot of fun to make, and I really enjoy watching them back as well to remind me of past events, so that's why I kind of pop up here once a year every summer to make these videos. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to take part in the Reading Rush this year. Last year I kind of burnt myself out on it. The reading every day was a bit too much for me, and I ended up not really finishing it properly and getting in a bit of a reading slump. I was like, I'm not sure these readathons are for me anymore. But then they started announcing the reading challenges and things for this year's Reading Rush. I was like, oh, it's just so much fun. I've been taking part on and off ever since 2015, and I usually have a really good time with it. So I decided, instead of trying to read a book every day and reading loads and loads, I'm going to just take it a bit more chilled and just aim to read a few shorter books and hopefully have more fun that way, because it will feel like less pressure. But actually this year, what with quarantine and corona and everything, I'm gonna have a lot more free time for reading than I normally would. Like usually there's a day or two during the week where I'm at work, or that I'm going out to do something with my family. That's not really an issue this year. I'm not working at the moment, so I am gonna have more time for reading, but still I want to keep the expectations low. If I end up reading more than I plan, then that's great. But I don't want to get burned out on it again, so I'm just taking it a lot more chill this year. So this is my annual video talking about what I'm going to be reading, and I also have a very exciting book haul unboxing. I have some book packages that have arrived in the mail, which I'm very excited to open. I think I'll do the unboxing at the end. You'll see, it fits in with the challenges. Those books that are yet to be unboxed will be part of the Reading Rush and the challenges, so you'll see, it'll make sense as we begin. So without further ado, I will get on with telling you the challenges and what I'm going to read for every reading challenge. So every year in the Reading Rush there are 7 reading challenges which you can choose to complete if you want. Despite the fact that I'm planning to only read like 3, maybe 4 books this year, I'm still going to try and achieve all 7 reading challenges by like doubling up. The first reading challenge is to read a book with a cover that matches the colour of your birthstone. I am a May baby. The May birthstone is emerald. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of green. I've never really liked the fact that my birthstone is emerald, but it actually was very easy for this challenge. I had plenty of choice. So the book I have decided on is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. This is a memoir told in comic strip form, about a woman who grew up in Iran both during and after the Islamic Revolution. This isn't a book that was really on my radar or that I was planning to read, but I was just like walking around at home a couple of weeks ago and saw it lying on a table somewhere. I was like, I feel like I've heard of that before, but I didn't really remember. Then literally like an hour later or something, I went to eat my lunch and I watched Ariel and Raylene, who are the people who run the Reading Rush, doing their Reading Rush TBR video, and they talked about this book. I was like, that's kind of creepy. And I asked my mum, and it's a book that my grandma lent to her and my dad for them to read, and it was like on the table because she was going to give it back. But I was like, oh, I'll read that. The reason I'm interested in it mainly is because my mum spent I don't remember, a year or 2 of her childhood living in Iran, because her dad was a pilot, so they moved around all the time, and I think it was when she was 6 or 7 she lived in Iran for a little while, and she has really like lovely vivid memories of it and she remembers it really fondly. But obviously that was before, I guess, the Islamic Revolution, and now it's a lot different and she doesn't think she'll be able to go back. So it's kind of this interesting part of my family history that I don't really know anything about. I don't know anything about Iran or the Islamic Revolution. And she and my grandma both really enjoyed reading this book and found it really informative and educational. So I think it would be a really good way for me to learn about something that I don't really know anything about. But then also it's in comic strip form, so that makes it, you know, it's more, I'm assuming, a bit more easy to read than like just a full-on memoir. So yeah, that is my somewhat unconventional pick for this challenge. I did not see this coming at all. But yeah, it's very green, so that's why it works for this challenge. Challenge number 2 is to read a book that begins with the word the, and I have chosen The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. This one is also green, so I considered picking this one for the first challenge. You know, it could work. I ended up choosing Persepolis just because why not? But yeah, it starts with the, so it's a very easy choice. The next challenge actually explains better why I picked this one, so I will just roll straight onto that. Challenge number 3 is to read a book that inspired a movie you've already seen, and I'm also reading The Time Machine for this challenge. Now, there is a movie adaptation of The Time Machine. In fact, I think there's more than one, but that's not the movie I've seen. The movie I'm going for is Back to the Future. Now, right, I hear you, Back to the Future is not a direct adaptation of The Time Machine, but it was heavily inspired by it. I wrote my undergraduate dissertation this semester just gone, and I wrote it about Back to the Future and time travel movies. It was really interesting, really fun to do, and I wrote about The Time Machine in there a little bit. To be honest, I was gonna read this whole book for the dissertation. I ended up only reading like 20 pages because it was all I needed. So that's why I want to actually read the whole thing now, and maybe I can enjoy it more since I'm not reading it like for university. But during my research and everything, I discovered that Back to the Future does quite heavily take some influence from The Time Machine. This was a really seminal work in like time travel fiction, and a lot of later stuff has drawn from this. The challenge is a book that inspired a movie you've already seen, and this definitely inspired Back to the Future. So that is why I've chosen this book. Also, it's really short, it's just a novella really, so it will be quick and easy to read for the reading rush. Challenge number 4 is to read the first book you touch. This is one you can kind of interpret however you want. My interpretation is to do with my book haul unboxing, so I'm going to come back to this challenge at the end of the video. Basically, I have all those books. I don't know which book is in which package, so I'm going to open them, and whichever one I open first is what I'll read. But we'll get onto that later. Challenge number 5 is to read a book completely outside of your house. To be honest, I'm not sure if this is going to happen. Depends how the weather is doing. I'm in England, so it can be unpredictable. If the weather is good, I can read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells entirely on my patio outside because it's short. It should only take me a couple of hours, I'd like to think. So as long as we have good weather, I will be reading this book completely outside of my house. Challenge number 6 is to read a book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of. For this one, I'm reading Persepolis. You'll see a theme going since I've only chosen like 3 books. I'm basically using the same ones for like all the challenges. This is comic strip, or I guess it's kind of like a graphic novel. I've always wanted to read more graphic novels. I've only read 1 or 2. So that is one genre, I suppose, that this book is that I've always wanted to read more of. But also, I guess more importantly, it's non-fiction and it's a memoir. I always want to read more non-fiction, but it's just like not so easy to read. Like, I generally feel more like picking up a novel, but this is not a novel, this is non-fiction, so that is a genre that I have always wanted to read more of. And the final challenge is to read a book that takes place on a different continent from where you live. And yet again, I have chosen Persepolis because this takes place in Iran, which is in Asia, and I live in Europe. It would have been very easy for me to choose a book that takes place in America for this challenge. I have many books that take place in America, but that just feels like, I don't know, it's quite similar to Europe in a lot of ways, and I've read so much that takes place in America. I did American studies for my undergraduate degree, so I wanted to pick something that was like not America or Europe. So then when this popped up, I was like, perfect, because I do not know anything about Iran. I know very little about Asia in general, so this seems like a really good pick for this challenge, because not only is it a different continent from where I live, but it's a continent that I really don't know very much about. So we have gone through 6 of the 7 challenges using only 2 books. I'm very proud. They worked out really well for these challenges, and they're both green, so they both fit that first one. But for the final one, which is what I'm really excited about, to be honest, it's the first book you touch, so this is where my unboxing comes in. I recently did a book order on the book depository, The Reading Rush actually has a special page on the book depository with I think 150 books that if you order it from this page and using a certain code you can get 10% off. So most of these were from there. I ordered all 5 at the same time from the same website, yet they arrived in 5 separate packages, which is a little confusing, but to be honest it makes it a bit easier for this challenge. I'm very excited to see what I pick. I will open them all in this video, so whichever one I open will be the first one I touch, and therefore I will read it for this challenge. I'm like trying to guess which book is which. I guess, I don't know how to choose. Maybe I'll just like shuffle them around and just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna pick this one. It's quite small. I didn't think any of the books I picked were this small. Let's just go for it. Honestly, I've been so excited to open these books. I've just been waiting. Okay, the moment of truth. What is the book? Ooh, it's Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is way shorter than I thought it was gonna be. Like, it's really short, like 200 pages. Wow. Okay, wow. To say it now, this whole book haul, my plan was to diversify my bookshelves a little bit. With everything that's been happening recently with Black Lives Matter, I have been made very aware that my bookshelves are very white, or at least I can't point out many like non-white authors. And I think that a really important way of understanding people better and like broadening your horizons is by reading, because you can you know, learn to understand different kinds of people better, and you get it like directly from their perspective, and it humanizes them, and just like, I just think it's such an important way to do it. So all of these books are by non-white authors. This one particularly is really relevant. I'm quite glad I picked this one because it's about police brutality. It's told from the perspective of a teenager, and he writes letters, I think, to Martin Luther King, which is why it's called Dear Martin. It's about his experiences with police brutality and racism in America. So this is very relevant, very topical. I think it's kind of along the same lines as The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas, which I read a few years ago. So yeah, this is what I will be reading for the 4th Reading Rush Challenge, Read the First Book You Touch. And that means that my Reading Rush lineup is Dear Martin by Nick Stone, Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi, and The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I'm pretty pleased with that, and if I get through it all I can read another one if I have time. So very exciting. That was such a cool way to do this challenge, I really enjoyed that. So I guess we'll get on unboxing the rest of the books. This one's a bit fatter. I keep showing my dress. I'm going to make a guess. I think this is With the Fire on High. Let's find out. I was correct. Here we go. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is soft. I really like soft book covers. This is another book by a black author. It's about a black woman who wants to be a chef more than anything. She's a single mother, I think, and it's just about her life doing that. It sounded really cool because it's about food. Like, apparently there's a lot of descriptions of food, and it's supposedly really like poetically written and really nice to read. I don't feel like I described that very well, but it just sounds like my kind of thing. I'm really looking forward to this one. Also, I forgot you get bookmarks when you order from the book depository, and because all 5 arrive separately, I'm going to get 5 bookmarks. Reader problems. It's like problems only readers have. This bookmark is about someone sniffing books, which is very relatable. Right, let's continue with the book haul. First cardboard one. The one good thing about them sending all these packages separately is that it is fun getting to open so many, but it is a massive waste of packaging. So okay, this is my non-fiction book. This is Why I Am No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Reni Eddo-Lodge. This is, I mean, you've probably heard about it, it's like topping all the charts at the moment. It's a non-fiction book talking about race relations in Britain, which is something I know very little about. Having done an American Studies degree, I feel like I know a fair amount about the situation in America, but I don't know anything about like the Black British experience. I think that's really important because I live here. So I wanted to do some reading to educate myself, learn about new perspectives, and I've been recommended this by friends and the internet. So yes, that's this one. This one is another comic. It says, you hate it when books get turned into blockbusters. And it has this guy in the cinema saying, no, that's completely out of character. That was never his motivation. This is all wrong. And then it shows at the bottom the movie is The Very Hungry Caterpillar Attacks New York. I love it. These are really funny. Okay, this is the package that arrived first. I believe it is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, because that was the first dispatch email I got and it's really thin. So let's go for it. I was correct. This is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a Japanese writer, it's translated fiction. This is about time travel, which is why I was really interested, because I've just done my whole time travel dissertation and I love time travel stories anyway. It's about a coffee shop where you can go there and it lets you travel back in time, but you have to return to the present before your coffee gets cold. Honestly, I've heard mixed things about it, so I was kind of unsure about buying it, but then when I saw that it was on the Reading Rush discount page, I was like, I just have to get it. I've been so interested in it. It's really pretty. And it's about time travel and I'm just like, I really want to read it. So I'm thinking that if I get through all those Reading Rush books, I might read this one because again, it's very short. And I'm really excited about this one. And then this is my final book, also a lot thinner than I was expecting. Just because I haven't really been showing myself opening them. This is my final book. And it is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. I'm gonna be honest, I read Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi years ago, back in the day when it was all the rage, and I hated it. It's quite rare that I dislike a book as strongly as I disliked that book. It was honestly just the writing style. It was like unique, it had like things crossed out, and I really didn't like it, and the story wasn't that great in my opinion, so I was really like unsure about picking this up. But then I actually like looked into it recently and was like, okay, it's very different from Shatter Me. This is like contemporary, whereas that's more fantasy, and this is just like normal writing style. This is about a 16-year-old Muslim girl in the wake of 9/11. It's the year after 9/11, she's in school dealing with the repercussions of that. I think it's really important, again, just for like learning about different types of people, being able to relate to people and understand people better. I haven't really read about, I've read a couple, but I haven't read much about the experience of Muslim people. It's YA, so it's like going to be easy to read, but also educational and important, I think. This is my book haul, made to diversify my bookshelf a little, but I'm also just really excited about reading all of these. Dear Martin is what I'll be reading for Reading Rush, and the rest I will hopefully get to pretty soon anyway. It's very rare that I buy so many books at once. I think after quarantine I've just been like craving doing some shopping. I haven't done any shopping in a while. So there we go, that is my Reading Rush TBR and unboxing book haul. I'm really excited for Reading Rush. It's only a week away, which is crazy, like it feels like it snuck up out of nowhere. I always enjoy it so much. I love doing the Twitter sprints online, doing the Instagram challenges, and just like getting the chance to read a lot for a week. If you're interested in seeing like regular updates about how my reading is going, I'll probably be doing that on Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave links, I guess I'll leave my handles here and I'll leave links in the description. I also have set up a profile on the Reading Rush website, so I will link to that as well. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're taking part in Reading Rush, what you're reading, if you're reading any of the same books as me. I hope Reading Rush treats you well and that you get lots of reading done, and most of all that you just have a lot of fun with it if you're taking part. If you're not taking part, why don't you try and read a little bit more than you normally would? It's really a good opportunity for it, and it's such a good community online. It's just so much fun to do. But yes, no matter what you're doing, I hope you enjoy your week. Stay safe, have fun, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.